Okay, so let's start. I hope कि आप लोगों को मेरी आवाज आ रही है. Just confirm in the chat. स्क्रीन शेयर हो गई है और आपको मेरी आवाज आ रही है तो हम जो है वो स्टार्ट करते हैं, right? So just reply. Okay, thank you. So let's start today's topic, the graph data structure with fundamental concepts we will understand in today's class. So today we are going to study this graph data structure, right? So uh, how we create the graph and what are the terminologies the graph data structure has. So that is a very simple concept we start. For example, in graph we have nodes, and in graph we have edges. So for example, in graph if we have a node A, comma B, comma C, comma D, in the edges detail we have AB, then AC, then BD, and then we have, for example, CD. So create the graph, right? So if we create the graph, the nodes are given. So meaning that node A, node B, node C, and node D, because there are 4 nodes in the graph. So now there are 4 nodes, so we have just plotted these nodes. The node in the graph, they are connected with the edges. So the first edge that is connecting, that is the AB, AC is the second, BD, and the CD. So this is a very simple graph. These are called nodes of the graph, and the links through which these nodes are connected, we call them edges. So these are the edges, These are the edges, and these are color node. So this is the simple graph data structure. So whenever you have been given the nodes that can be any number, for example, and you are being given the details of the edges, then you can create a graph data structure, right? So this is a very simple idea for the graph data structure that you can create. So there are different terminologies in the graph that we are going to study first. So let's see who's there. So in graph, we are going to understand different terminology. The first is called vertices, are the vertex. Vertices are the node of the graph. So in graph, sometimes these nodes are called vertex, right? Vertex भी इसको कहते हैं, vertices भी कहते हैं, right? So nodes को vertices भी कहते हैं graph data structure के अंदर. Terminology 1. The second is edge. हमें पता है edge is a line that connects pair of the vertices, right? Or the vertex. तो जो vertex के ये दो नोड हैं या जो वर्टेक्स हैं, इनके पेयर को जो कनेक्ट करता है उसे एज कहते हैं. हमें इस चीज का भी पता है, आइडिया है. द सेकंड इज unweighted graph, a graph which does not have a weight associated with any edge. So let's understand this unweighted graph, right? So you can say now there are different types of the graphs. अगर मैं ये कहूँ कि if you have created the graph and you are going to study types of graph data structure. So in types, we have category that is called unweighted graph. So in unweighted graph, इस ग्राफ को हम अनवेटेड ग्राफ कहते हैं. बड़ा सिंपल, इसको जो है ना बना लेते हैं. A, node A connect with node B through the link. Then we have node C in the graph, and then we have D, for example. So unweighted graph एक ऐसा ग्राफ होता है जिसमें ये जो ग्राफ की नोड्स आपस में कनेक्टेड होती हैं थ्रू द लिंक और द एज. तो अगर इस लिंक की और एज की कोई भी वैल्यू ना हो, ठीक, द लिंक और एज does not have any value, कोई भी वैल्यू ना हो, ठीक है. ग्राफ के अंदर अगर लिंक और एज या जो लिंक है बिटवीन टू नोड्स और द वर्टेक्स, अगर उस लिंक की कोई भी वैल्यू ना हो, जस्ट दे आर कनेक्टेड विद ईच अदर, तो ऐसे ग्राफ को हम कहेंगे दिस इज कॉल्ड any value is called unweighted graph. So you need to give example in each category if you are being to ask the design or the draw or create the unweighted graph, right? So this is called unweighted graph. So I hope this is very much clear to you. So the first category in the graph data structure that we call this is the unweighted graph, a graph in which nodes are the vertices, they are connected to the link or the edges, but the link or the edge in the graph does not have any value. So this is a very simple concept of the unweighted graph. The second is weighted graph category. A weighted graph, definitely that is now no need to write it more. The second is weighted graph. So in weighted graph, so that is just opposite to the unweighted. So if you assign certain weight to these links or the values, maybe 20, maybe 30, maybe 40. So अगर हम किसी भी ग्राफ में जो एजेस और लिंक्स हैं उनको वैल्यू असाइन कर दें, फॉर एग्जांपल इफ दीज नोड्स आर रिप्रेजेंटिंग द different cities, for example, and the cities are connected through each other with certain distance, 20 kilometer, 10 kilometer, 40 kilometer, or maybe the 30 kilometer. So these distance values we are assigning to the links or the edges. If such a structure we have, then we call this a weighted graph. So unweighted and weighted graph. So unweighted, no value of the link or the edge. Weighted graph must have certain values on the edges or the links. So if these are the cities, 4 cities are connected with each other through the different distances. So these distance values are called, basically in a journal, we call them weight. So because this has the weight. So weight 10, weight 40, weight 20, weight 30. That's what this graph is called, the weighted graph. So let's see who's in the lobby. So just we aid them, to be honest. Try to join class on time so that you can understand the concepts well. So unweighted, weighted, and then undirected graph. In case the edges of the graph do not have a direction associated with them. Again, the concepts are very much relevant and related to each other, right? So now let's the third type or the category of the graph is that is called, so if I can just remove this, So if I can remove this and just the third type of the graph is, if I can name three, that is called undirected graph. Undirected graph. So एक ऐसा ग्राफ जिसके अंदर ये जो एजेस हैं या नोड्स हैं या वर्टेक्सेस ऑफ द ग्राफ हैं, ये आपस में जिस लिंक और एज के थ्रू कनेक्टेड हैं, उसकी कोई भी डायरेक्शन ना हो. इफ यू कैन लाइक, सो डायरेक्शन मीनिंग दैट, फॉर एग्जांपल ये डायरेक्शन कहलाती है विद दिस एरो, राइट. ये एरो है. फॉर एग्जांपल बी is connected with C. So if such type of the direction, if such type of the direction or arrow is given to the edge or the link, अगर edge इस तरह से हो in such form, तो हम कहेंगे कि वो जो है वो डायरेक्टेड है. लेकिन अनडायरेक्टेड में ऐसा कुछ भी नहीं होगा. जस्ट we don't know in which direction these nodes or vertices are connected with each other. So we have only these links. Now this graph that does not have any direction, only nodes or vertices they are connected with through the edges or links, is called one of the best example of the undirected graph, right? So this is a undirected graph. Undirected graph, the edges are the links in the graph, they don't have any direction. That is a very simple concept. The second is definitely opposite to the undirected, the directed graph. So doesn't matter. So now you are very much clear. So for example, A to C, C to D, for example, A to B, B to D. So now we have certain directions. So this is called the, now this is a directed graph. Okay, so this is the fourth category of the graph data structure we call directed graph. Now the second is cyclic graph, a graph which has at least one loop. So a graph that had at least one loop. So that is a very, very simple concept. So meaning that if we travel from the node A, then node B, then node C, then node B, and then again we started from node A and we reached at the same point, and this path is making a circle. So that is called cyclic. Cyclic means at least there should be the one cycle. But for example, if we have another node over there, if I can just make this fair in the graph. So if we have another node, for example, in the graph, like that, maybe node E, but there is no any circle in this, doesn't matter, but at least the graph has a one circle, right? एक सर्कल जरूर मौजूद है. तो एक ऐसा ग्राफ जिसके अंदर एक सर्कल मौजूद हो, उसको हम कहेंगे दिस इज साइक्लिक ग्राफ. साइक्लिक. और साइक्लिक का अपोजिट क्या होगा? डेफिनेटली फिफ्थ हो गया. तो साइक्लिक का अपोजिट असाइक्लिक होगा. Acyclic means does not have any cycle. So let's first go towards cyclic. So it's clear in the slide you see this is making at least one loop or one circle, that is called cyclic. and opposite to that is called acyclic. So a graph with no loop. So a graph with no loop, meaning that a graph with no loop, meaning that like that. So A, B, C. This is one of the good example, or even you can add this. So there is a no loop. If we travel from A, B, C, A, B, and D, even no loop. If we travel from A to C, so there is a no loop, no loop in the graph. If there is a no loop in the graph, no loop in the graph, that is called a cyclic, means does not have any loop. So there is a no loop. So in a such graph, we can say this is a cyclic graph. So that is, these are the wonderful concepts. The second is a tree. It is a special case of the directed acyclic graph. So definitely the tree data structure, one of the special case of directed and acyclic. So I hope the tree is so tree is a special case of tree data structure that we studied is a special case of directed and acyclic ग्राफ की कैटेगरी का एक जबरदस्त एग्जांपल है क्यों because you know that in a tree we have different nodes, right? They are connected with each other, but they are not making any cycle. So let's see, directed, because this is a parent has two children, they are connected with, they are the same parent. This parent has two children, but they are not making any cycle. So directed in terms, a parent means these are the two children of this parent, right? Because so if you can say that is somehow defining the relation. So that's why this is a directed and a cyclic. So tree data structure is a special case of graph. But which graph? A graph that has a that is directed in acyclic. So one of the good example. So these are the wonderful terminologies of tree data structure. Just I am repeating. If you have been asked to create the tree and define, so to create the graph data structure and define the following terminologies with example, then I hope you can design that. Vertices, what is the vertices in the tree? Edges in the, vertices in the graph, edges in the graph. Then you must know the types of the graph, unweighted graph, weighted graph, uh, undirected graph, directed graph, cyclic graph, acyclic graph. So 6 categories of the graph data structure with example. So I think for practice purpose, let's have an example, or let's have an assignment so that you should have a good concept. So let's solve this assignment. Create a graph data structure, right? Of size, for example, of size maybe greater than 6. Create size means the number of nodes. एक ऐसा ग्राफ स्ट्रक्चर बनाएं जिसके अंदर नंबर ऑफ नोड्स जो हों वो 6 से ज्यादा हों, राइट? नीड टू थिंक अबाउट एंड define, explain different, explain the terminologies of the graph data structure. Different terminologies को explain करें in the design graph data structure, and write or even create different types of graph data structure. So example is very simple from the previous concept. Graph data structure बनाए of size greater than 6, meaning that the number of nodes, the vertices 6 से ज़्यादा होनी चाहिए, and that should be strings value, right? Strings graph, strings value होनी चाहिए, meaning that A, B, C, D, whatsoever the data should be in the node or the vertex. That can be the integer, but you can design for both, for a string or integer, right? So आप या तो integer रखें node में या जो है वो strings रखें. In the graph data structure, number size node should be greater than 6. Then different terminologies को explain करें. What is the vertex, node, age, right? In terminologies को जो है वो define करें अपने example में, and then try to create different types of the graph data structure, right? ये example करें, solve करें. This is over to you, and I catch you back. So let me admit to them.